So I
That's
used
kind of
to
how you got to do it.
always,
Just got to go for it.
in high school, I could always get A's because that was the highest thing I could get. So it was like, an A, great. And then when I got into playing piano, then I was in trouble. Because like, what? I could pull about those really
Huh?
tiny little high C's.
I mean, my room's not heated, so I've just been like swimming the past like week. I mean, it's not
I'm gonna get
cool.
so
It doesn't have
sunburned.
like
The
air
sun is
conditioning, so
touching
it's
my
like,
skin for the first time ever.
and with how little airflow there is, opening the windows doesn't even help much either.
Yeah, oh, hey, you know what? I think we're a little closer to the equator over here. Man, glad I
always get shoved to the back.
What?
Said we always get shoved to the back.
You wait till they have the Bells of Knox duet here in a little bit. We will showcase.
I apologize in advance for this tune being stuck in your head for the rest of the day today.
Better than pomp and
Well, we
circumstance.
could have it. There are some alternatives, yeah.
As long as it's not pomp and circumstance, we're good.
Pour the Macarena.
It's a little sweaty.
Nice choice for a black sweater.
I should have thought through that a little better. Are you really?
March Valiant with eggs and bacon.
Well, I tell John.
Yeah, it's for
I-
medicinal reasons, right?
I had
That's
to
where this
I had to
started.
take a box, so I didn't want to take it on an empty stomach, so I brought this.
So he brings 3 sandwiches.
Well, I might have to take another one.
one extra just in case.
I hardly ever eat.
March Valiant with eggs and bacon.
Yeah, why not? It really, this is fun.
And biscuit.
Big one.
Could be deaf for a day.
Yeah.
There you are. The bell has done.
You're not aligned to atomic time, I guess.
That's Victor Berlioz got that big 13 dome.
Better if they were ringing like
That's
this.
that
12?
is for the
13?
chapel.
Do you know? We play four something. 15, you said? 16, so I get 17. Pass the DS.
I have to tell you, one time we stood on the played that fast. Then we stood over and cut that Whitman.
I'm an anthropologist. Anthropologists have long studied how different communities organize transitions from one stage of life to another. We often underscore the role of ritual in making these life changes. For the next few hours, we're all engaged in one such ritual, one that, in this relatively short period of time, is informed simultaneously by the past, what did you learn, the present, how do you learn, and the future, what now? In a short poem several decades ago, E.B. DeVito wrote about learning. She wrote, "Knowledge comes in a way unsought, as in the Chinese tale of the youth who came for daily lessons in what there was to learn of jade. And each day, for a single hour, while he and the master talked together, always of unrelated matters, jade pieces were slipped into his hand, until one day, when a month had passed, the young man paused and with a frown said suddenly, 'That is not jade.' Lots of jade has been put in your hands over the past few years by the faculty, those who've been your teachers, your mentors, your guides. They've put jade in your hand so you'll learn whether it's jade or not, whether the hypothesis is proven false or it's not, whether the painting is aesthetically pleasing or it's not, whether the language of the poem grabs your imagination or it doesn't, whether the analysis of behavior is persuasive or it's not. At the same time, lots of jade has been put in your hands over these past years by your fellow students and by the staff who have supported a residential experience for you, through which you've learned both the benefits and challenges of creating one community. In all this, you've learned when it's truly jade and when it's not, or at least enough of that, or you wouldn't be sitting here now about to receive your degrees as college-educated persons. But here's the thing. The value of the education you've received isn't measured simply by the past, by the exams you've passed, the papers you've written, the creative works you've produced, nor is it measured simply by the present, this deservedly satisfying and proud moment when your accomplishments are recognized. The lasting value of what you've received will only be measured by the future, a future that will continue to require you to learn, but one that comes without a syllabus. Philosophers, essayists, spiritual leaders, and teachers have made a similar point, and from all of these, I choose the words of John Lennon, who sang, "Life is what happens when you're looking the other way." Or, as the ending of DeVito's poem reminds us, learning slips in and comes to stay while you are faced the other way. So at this moment of celebration, let's all recognize that jade will continue to be placed in your hands and in ours, and have faith in your ability and in ours to continue to learn. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you, Larry, for that wonderful opening. On behalf of Knox College, I welcome all of you to the 172nd Commencement. I'm Richard Riddell. I'm chair of the Board of Trustees of Knox, and my fellow trustees are here on the platform behind me, as well as the faculty. Knox was founded almost 2 centuries ago, in 1837. On this day, when we honor those who have completed their studies and will graduate into the world, there's a tradition that former board chairs started that I am happy to continue, which is to invite all of you to join me and go back in time a bit, 100 years, and think about the commencement that was held here in 1917. Now, soon-to-be graduates, imagine a time when the principal form of communication was not Instagram or YouTube video, but public speaking. People gathered together on occasions such as this to hear leaders speak about the main topics of the day. That's how they learned about them. Here's what they heard 100 years ago at commencement of Knox College. 2 months before that commencement, they had learned that the Russian Tsar had abdicated. And as the first speaker noted, the prestige and authority of 300 years of royal power was blown away as if chaff, and the Russian people found themselves. Democracy, the speaker said, was finding root in countries around the world, and the will of the people was celebrated in the midst of the Great War, World War I, where 17 of the 77 graduates back in 1917 had already left to go into the service. A second speaker focused on a topic closer to Galesburg, Illinois. As the Industrial Revolution was sweeping the country found itself in a food shortage. The audience was called upon by this speaker to remember that agriculture was America's first great industry. And he encouraged the graduates of the college to not all move to the growing cities, but to some stay behind on the land and grow crops to feed the nation. Of those 77 graduates, all but 3 came from cities and towns in the state of Illinois. Quite different from today. Finally, the third speaker reflected on patriotism. The Liberty Bell was traveling around the country to give people outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a chance to see a great symbol of the United States. The speaker warned that patriotism wasn't just, as he put it, an occasional fit of emotion. It was an individual's assumption of responsibility. It was the resolve to discipline and sacrifice, to exert conscious efforts to better the country. He exhorted the crowd, "My duty is to America." As we listen to these words, we hear echoes of 100 years ago in our lives today. And we're reminded of the value, and I'm sure your faculty taught it to you, soon-to-be graduates, of the value of studying history, of learning how others faced opportunity and adversity. And most of all, on this special day, we connect with those who gathered here 100 years ago and those at many other Knox commencements since 1837. And they set to celebrate the accomplishments of young people. Today, the graduates of 2017 will leave this beautiful and historic campus to do their part to make not only America, but the world a better place. That's what Knox graduates do. Welcome.
The song we are about to sing was commissioned by the Knox College Choir and written especially for us. We feel the song is perfect for us, for Knox, and for the senior class because of the poem. If you'd like to follow the words, they're printed on the last page of your program.
Like Welcome to the 172nd Commencement Proceedings of Knox College. My name is Teresa Amott. It is my privilege and my great honor to serve this remarkable institution as Knox's 19th president. For 172 years, families and friends of the graduates have made the journey to Galesburg to witness that moment at which their graduate walked across the stage to receive a degree from Knox College. And this moment has been made possible by the entire Knox community, our distinguished faculty, our dedicated staff, our board of trustees behind me. And among these many special people who have cared for you during these years, let us especially recognize the campus safety, facilities, and dining service workers who have made this campus for you a home away from home. Graduates, you are joined, it's coming, you get another chance. You are joined in celebration today by faculty, by staff, by trustees, by families and friends. Please stand and express your gratitude for all they have done for you today. We are joined today by a very special guest, Rosemary Creighton Swise, who celebrates with us the 75th anniversary of her graduation from Knox in 1942. Rosemary's mother, grandmother, brother, husband, sons, daughter, and granddaughter have all attended Knox, as she is an active and loyal alumna. She remembers the mood on the campus that fateful day in 1941 when Pearl Harbor was bombed. And she is here with us today. Rosemary, receive our congratulations on this milestone. It is now my privilege to confer the honorary degrees upon the recipients selected by the Board of Trustees for this 172nd commencement. Knox College awarded its first honorary doctorate to someone you may have heard of, Abraham Lincoln, in 1860. And in a letter to Mr. Lincoln, Knox trustee Orville Browning assured him, "Knox is destined to become one of the most useful colleges of the land. And in after time, it will be no discredit to you that you received your degree at her hands." Mr. Browning's prediction came true. Knox did indeed become one of the most useful colleges in the land, and it has continued its tradition of awarding degrees to individuals of great distinction. And by selecting these individuals of demonstrated merit for recognition with honorary doctorates, the Board of Trustees invites them into an enduring relationship with Knox College. These degrees carry the weight of the history, tradition, and core values of this college. They are conferred with care and with deep respect for those whose lives and deeds we are privileged to honor. One small change in the program, Professor Oldfield will present the first candidate for an honorary degree. Forward.
President Amott, I'm honored to present Ambassador Levin, Distinguished Fellow at the Chicago Council of Global Affairs, for the degree of Doctor of Laws. Ambassador Faye Hartog Levin was the 65th U.S. Ambassador to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. She served from 2009 to 2011 as Chief of Mission of an embassy that included 15 federal agencies, 4 locations, and more than 250 employees. In addition to embassy management, her areas of focus and impact included a green agenda, engagement with diverse audiences, public diplomacy through cultural exchanges. Born shortly after her parents immigrated from the Netherlands to the United States, she was the first U.S. ambassador in this post to have Dutch parents. Upon her resignation in 2011, Ambassador Levin wrote, "To be American ambassador anywhere is an honor. To be ambassador to the country of my parents' birth is a unique privilege." Prior to her appointment as ambassador, she was a senior consultant at Res Publica Group, a public relations and government affairs consultancy in Chicago, where she advised nonprofit and governmental clients. From 1997 to 2005, she served as Vice President of External Affairs at Chicago's Field Museum, representing the museum in its relationships with federal, state, and city governments and community affairs. A graduate of Northwestern University and Loyola University School of Law, Ambassador Levin began her career as a legal advisor at the Illinois State Board of Education. She then joined the law firm Seyfarth Shaw, representing primarily school boards, private and public colleges, and social service agencies. She published many articles and was a frequent speaker on topics related to school and employment law and crisis management. In her current role at the Chicago Council of Global Affairs, Ambassador Levin works on political, international, and environmental issues. She is a lecturer at the University of Chicago Law School, teaching a course on federalism and state social policy, and also serves as a trustee of the Harry and Jeanette Weinberg Foundation. Ambassador Levin is an active member of her community and supporter of education in the arts, serving on a variety of regional and national boards. She is a member of the board of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, the National Archives Foundation, and the Roosevelt Institute, and serves as vice chair of the Board of Trustees of Window to the World Communications, Inc. Previously, she served on the boards of DePaul University, Columbia College Chicago, and the Merit School of Music. She was honored with the Illinois Arts Alliance's Citizens Advocate Award in 2013 and was the 2016 recipient of the Loyola Law School's Damon Award for Distinguished Community Service. President Amott, in recognition of her distinguished career, service to her country, and dedication to her community, I present Ambassador Faye Hartog Levin for the degree of Doctor of Laws.
By the authority of the General Assembly of the State Illinois, vested in the Board of Trustees of Knox College, and by them delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, with all the privileges, honors, and dignities which here and elsewhere pertain to that degree. Professor Schwartzman will present the second candidate for an honorary degree.
President Amott, I am honored to present Wes Jackson, President Emeritus of the Land Institute, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters. Wes Jackson's career has taken him full circle. Born and raised on a farm near Topeka, Kansas, his early life was dedicated to the land, farming it to sustain his family's livelihood. After a successful career in academia took him out of Kansas and ultimately to California, Jackson returned to his home state to co-found the Land Institute. Once again, he dedicated his life to the land, researching and working to sustain our earth by revolutionizing agriculture as we know it. Jackson's friend and fellow environmentalist Wendell Berry has said of him, quote, "I know of nobody who has thought more carefully or responsibly about the problems of agriculture and their possible solutions," end quote. Jackson received a bachelor's degree in biology at Kansas Wesleyan University. At the University of Kansas, he received a master's degree in botany, followed by a doctorate in genetics at North Carolina State University. He then pursued an academic career, ultimately teaching at California State University, Sacramento, where he helped to establish the country's first environmental studies department. A tenured professor, he resigned in 1976 to co-found the Land Institute, a nonprofit organization whose goal is to create an agriculture that mimics natural ecosystems like prairies in order to produce ample yields by breeding perennial grains to be grown in mixtures, as well as to minimize the negative impacts of grain agriculture. A tangible result of this 50 to 100-year agenda is kernza, the first perennial grain in agriculture's 10,000-year history, and the most recent domesticated grain in 4,200 years. Early versions of kernza are now grown at pre-commercial scale on dozens of farms worldwide and appear in commercial food products. Jackson has written extensively about this work in numerous articles and books, including Becoming Native to This Place, Nature as Measure, the selected essays of Wes Jackson, Consulting the Genius of the Place, an ecological approach to a new agriculture, and New Roots for Agriculture. He was a 1990 Pew Scholar in Conservation and the Environment, and in 1992, a MacArthur Fellow. And he has received the Right Livelihood Award, the so-called Alternative Nobel Prize, presented annually in Sweden, the University of Kansas Distinguished Services Award, and the University of Kansas College of Liberal Arts and Sciences Distinguished Alumni Award. Rolling Stone has called him one of 100 agents of change. Life magazine named him as one of 18 individuals they predict will be among the 100 most important Americans in the 20th century. And in 2005, Smithsonian included Jackson as one of 35 who made a difference. Yet perhaps his career and accomplishments can be summed up most effectively in his own words. Quote, if your life's work can be accomplished in your lifetime, you're not thinking big enough, end quote. President Amott, in recognition of his visionary work in environmental studies and his contributions to sustainable agricultural movement, I present Wes Jackson for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
By the authority delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, with all the privileges, honors, and dignities which here and elsewhere pertain to that degree. And one other small change, Professor Corrali will present the third candidate for an honorary degree.
President Amott, I am honored to present Eva Longoria, award-winning actress, producer, director, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, for the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts. Eva Longoria may be best known for her award-winning role as Gabrielle Solis on the hit television show Desperate Housewives. But if you explore her career, you'll discover an impressive list of personal and professional accomplishments. She's as comfortable behind the camera as in front of it. She's a savvy businesswoman and entrepreneur, as well as a best-selling author, and she is a respected philanthropist and activist supporting the Latino community and children with special needs. She also received her master's degree in Chicano Studies and Political Science in 2013 from California State University, Northridge, writing her thesis on Success Stems from Diversity, the Value of Latinas in STEM Careers.
Some shout outs.
In her own words, she, quote, wanted a better, more authentic understanding of what my community has gone through so I can help create change, unquote. Ms. Longoria, who was born and raised in Corpus Christi, Texas, landed her first major acting role in the daytime soap opera The Young and the Restless, which earned her an American Latino Media Arts Award. 2 years later, she became a household name with her star role on Desperate Housewives. During the show's 8-year run, Ms. Longoria received numerous awards for her performance, including the Screen Actors Guild Award and a Golden Globe. She has guest starred on the Golden Globe award-winning comedy Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the hit drama Empire, and has directed episodes of acclaimed series Jane the Virgin and the Emmy Award-winning Blackish. She also stars in the feature films Lowriders and All-Star Weekend, as well as the BBC miniseries Decline and Fall. Ms. Longoria has produced the documentary Harvest, which focuses on the plight of the estimated 500,000 child farm workers whose tireless efforts help feed America, and executive produced the documentary Food Chains, a film that also exposes the current and historic exploitation of farm workers. A pillar of the Latino community, she established the Eva Longoria Foundation to help Latinas build better futures for themselves and their families through education and entrepreneurship, support programs, and career training. In 2006, Ms. Longoria co-founded the nonprofit organization Eva's Heroes, dedicated to enriching the lives of adolescents and young adults with developmental challenges. She also serves as a spokesperson for Padres Contra el Cáncer, an organization supporting Latino families who have children with cancer. In recognition of her philanthropy and activism, Ms. Longoria has received numerous awards, including the Dorothy I. Height Racial Justice Award by the YWCA USA. She was named Philanthropist of the Year by The Hollywood Reporter and honored by Variety with a Lifetime Achievement Award for their Power of Women issue. President Amott, in recognition of her accomplishments as an award-winning entertainer and her commitment to social justice and service, I present Eva Longoria for the degree of Doctor of Fine Arts.
By the authority delegated to me, I hereby confer upon you the degree Doctor of Fine Arts, honoris causa, with all the privileges, honors, and dignities which here and elsewhere pertain to that degree. Here we go.
Thing chokes you. It's like, thank you so much.
Good morning, Knox College. How are you? I am so honored to be here. Thank you, President Amott, trustees, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, friends, family, but most of all, the graduates of 2017. Congratulations. I would also like to say congratulations to all of your loved ones who have stood by you on this journey. I'm sure all of y'all are very happy they're graduating because they're going to get a job, right? So big round of applause for your family, your friends, everybody who supported you. I am very humbled to share this special day with you, mostly because I'm included with my fellow honorees, Dr. Jackson and Ambassador Hartog-Levin. I aspire to be a tenth of what you both are, so congratulations to you. I have to admit, I'm overwhelmed right now. I always read scripts, So it's hard for me to just come up with words all on my own. I'm used to somebody else writing them for me. But it's overwhelming to think of all the distinguished people who have received honorary degrees from Knox. Presidents, senators, cabinet secretaries, ambassadors, titans of business, going all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. So needless to say, there's a lot of pressure to be here to speak to all of you. Knox has such an incredible legacy of moral leadership. A place that was far ahead of its time in opening the doors to women, to people of color, and I know you all will draw on that legacy throughout your lives. You are tomorrow's doctors and lawyers and scientists and entrepreneurs. Some of you may disappoint your families and become an actor. But as your commencement speaker, it is tradition that I do pass on some words of wisdom, as it should be tradition that you pretend to listen and not be on Snapchat. So, as Sherwood mentioned, it wasn't so long ago that I was in a cap and gown myself. 4 years ago, I received my master's degree from Cal State Northridge. And just a little context, I come from a family of educators. Everybody in my family is a teacher, so I was the last person in my family to get a master's degree. My mom calls me the underachiever. But I do know there are a lot of first-generation people here today graduating. I applaud you, as I'm sure your families do too. It's very hard to be the first. For me, it was easy to be the last. I was the last born, I was the last one to get my master's, I was the last one to get a job, I was the last to do everything because my sisters, my family paved the way, but you first generation kids, young adults, you guys are paving the way for the rest of your family members, so you should be very, very proud of that. Returning to school while I was working on Desperate Housewives was crazy. I was doing homework on the set of Desperate Housewives, I was working on my thesis in my trailer, I was reading textbooks during takes, and I was very nervous to go back to school. It had been a very long time since I had set foot in a classroom. I kept thinking to myself, what if I wasn't smart enough? What if I was too old? What if the students would think I'm just some dumb celebrity? Because there are some dumb celebrities. So I had to prove I wasn't one of them. But I had a curiosity that could only be quenched by learning. I went back to school because I wanted to better understand where I came from. As you may have guessed, I am from another country called Texas. I was born in Corpus Christi, and I grew up proudly as a Mexican American. And I returned to school for a master's degree in Chicano studies, or what people like to call Mexican American history, because I was seeking a fuller understanding of who I was, a genuine search for identity. I grew up, like many of you, as a hyphen, straddling two worlds. I'm a 9th generation American. My ancestors arrived way before the Mayflower. I'm as American as apple pie, and I'm proud of my Mexican heritage. I love hamburgers and enchiladas. I listen to mariachi music and Justin Timberlake. Growing up in South Texas, I grew up very close to the border, and I remember the US-Mexican border was a very different place then. You could cross back and forth, no problem. You didn't need a passport. My family would go to Mexico for the day, for lunch, for medicine, for a margarita. And at the time, it was just a short walk across a bridge, and all you needed was a few coins and to say those magic words, American citizen. I remember the border agent every time would ask nationality, and my father would say American citizen. I actually thought it was a password. I thought like tomorrow it might change to peanut butter and jelly. And I remember seeing a long line of people slowly inching along, and my family just zooming in to the country. And I asked my father, why don't they just say the magic words? Maybe they don't know the password. And he said, well, because they were born on the other side. And I remember thinking, other side of what? And he said, la línea, the line. And I said, well, how did we get to be born on this side of the line? And he said, luck. We were lucky. And he was right, because it was a twist of fate that gave me the privilege of being an American. Or as Howard Buffett likes to call it, we won the ovarian lottery. I was born here, out of anywhere in this world. I could have been born somewhere where women are stripped of their rights, where there's no freedom of press or freedom of speech. I could have been born where it's forbidden to pursue your education or hopes and dreams. So to me, America is the greatest country in the world because it's an idea that all of us have the opportunity to pursue any vision we set for our lives. That's the idea that still draws talent from all over the world to our shores, and that allows all of you to dream big. In America, our ambitions aren't limited by what we look like or where we come from. But of course, we have a lot of work to do in achieving the ideal of the American dream and what that means. Because as hard as you work to get here, the tests and the late nights and the grades and the classes, an education like yours is still a privilege, a very rare privilege that not everyone gets to experience. When you receive your degrees today, you will be among the few in the world with such an education. And as my mother never ceased to remind my sisters and I, to whom much is given, much is expected. And this leads me to the word philanthropy. People always ask me, how did you get involved in philanthropy? What got you started? How did you think of this idea for your foundation? Why are you politically active? And it was actually something my family instilled in me very early on. You see, some of you may know, but I have an older sister with special needs. She was born prematurely, so her brain didn't finish developing. Her name is Lisa. She's the light of our family. And it was because of her we were introduced to the word volunteer very early in our lives. We volunteered for everything. I thought volunteer was a job. I thought you got paid for it. And I thought they just weren't giving me my money. But my mother made us volunteer for causes like the Special Olympics and the Boys and Girls Club. If Lisa was a part of any community program, my mother would sign all of us up as volunteers to that program in order for us to watch over her. So you learn a lot about caring for others when you have a sister like Lisa. And there are certain things that cannot be taught in a classroom or by professors. I remember one time when my sister went to high school, and she was mainstreamed into normal classes with normal students. And she encountered some people who were not so nice to her. People who didn't understand that she was different, but not less. And she came home one day with her Letterman jacket missing. Someone had stolen it off of her. And I remember, I was 10 maybe, and I was so mad, and I thought, who could steal a special needs jacket off somebody, off a student? And I said, Lisa, who would take your jacket? And she replied, someone who must have been cold. And that day, I learned about compassion, about putting myself in someone else's shoes. Lisa didn't get angry. She didn't get mad. She chose to see the best in someone, even if their intentions were bad. So I hope that you will choose to see the best in others too. I know it's easy to say, and it's very hard to actually practice in life, but the technology that we have at our fingertips has done so much to connect us, but it can also bring out some of the worst impulses. It can numb us, and it can numb you. It can stop us from understanding what it's like to be on the other side of that phone screen or the other side of that computer screen. So we might be quick to judge the beggar outside of Starbucks, begging for money, begging for food, but how often do we really place ourselves in his shoes? How often do we ask ourselves, what is his story? What happened to him? How did he end up here? How could things have gone differently in his life? So I hope that along the way of your chosen paths, you will continue to find ways to show kindness and serve others, because places like Knox have done so much to expand access to students from all backgrounds and walks of life. But we know that as a country, we have a lot more work to do. So it's going to be your jobs, each and every one of you, to help the next generation learn from your path and experiences. It's going to be your job to create a society of more equal opportunity for others. Something else I've always done in my life is reject the boxes that others may try to put you in. Don't let anyone else define you. If you belong to more than one world and you want to be a hyphen, embrace a hyphen, plant a flag on the hyphen, stand on the hyphen. Say to people, I'm not 50% this or 50% that. I'm 100% this all the time, and I'm 100% this all the time. You can be complex. It's okay. This country is big enough and diverse enough for all of our dreams. And this country needs diversity. Diversity is our country's greatest advantage. Not just diversity of skin color or ethnicity. I mean a diversity of thought and a diversity of life experiences. And on a campus as diverse as Knox, you live in close proximity with people from different walks of life. As you get older, it can all be too easy to cloister with those who think like you, who speak like you, who make the same amount of money. Don't live in a bubble. Keep building relationships with those who have a different point of view, who come from a different place, who speak a different language, who grew up differently. We have a lot of challenges facing our country today and our planet. And they all seem a lot worse when we talk past each other or when we demonize each other. But I have hope because of you, because of the graduates of today here at Knox College. Part of it is that your generation has the potential to make connections like no other, partly due to technology, but a lot of it has to do with all of you having an open and free mind. A mind that is not only tolerant of others, but that is interested in others and their contributions. Your generation is not hung up on differences, you're celebrating them. Your generation isn't interested in tearing things down, you want to build things up and leave a mark. And I'm pretty confident you're going to do that because wherever you go in life, you'll bring the Knox spirit with you. I know you're going to do great things and that you're going to set the world on fire, maybe even a prairie fire. I think I didn't even know what that meant, honestly. But my friend who went to Knox told me to put it in there. But I think we're all put on this earth for a reason greater than you can ever imagine. Even as you sit here in your seats and you think you have plans for yourself, well, I'm here to tell you that life may have some other things in store for you. So be ready for anything and everything. And I'm going to leave you today with the words of Maya Angelou, my favorite poet. It's words that I live by. She said, people will forget what you said, and they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So thank you for making me feel special today, Knox College, and congratulations to the class of 2017.
Thank you for making us feel special too. Next, Professor Diana Beck will present the Faculty Achievement Award.
The Faculty Achievement Award is given annually to a faculty member nominated by his or her peers and selected by the Faculty Personnel Committee. The award is for distinguished achievement in research, teaching, and/or service to the college. A tradition that is part of reading the citation is that the presenter tries to withhold the identity of the recipient for as long as possible, giving clues but keeping the audience in suspense. Closer? Okay. Okay. Did you hear that? Did you hear me, what I said before? You did? Okay. Okay, so you may raise your hand when you think you have the correct name of the recipient. This faculty member's voice has been heard ringing out in the classroom and in the community chorus for many years. A friend to all, from sunrise to sundown, he has rotated through many positions of service in the community and the college. There were a lot of clues there. I see no hands. Okay. A department chair for 25 years and mentor to grateful colleagues, This person has taught nearly every course in the department. This person has served on many committees, and indeed, few faculty members have ever served on more committees simultaneously than this colleague. But this colleague would say that what appears simultaneous is merely a function of your frame of reference. Still no hands. Okay. Perhaps some would be surprised to learn that the largest internal molecular magnetic field ever observed was first measured at Knox College by this scientist. This colleague's extraordinarily research productivity is a model and inspiration for us all. It is usual for this colleague to have 4 or 5 publications a year. In 1 year, this scientist churned out 9, and this in addition to numerous grants and presentations. Furthermore, the scientist's knowledge of advising matters and college regulations is legendary. If there ever is a question about what to do or how to do it concerning college rules and regulations, this person is everyone's go-to guy. Perhaps this is related to his service as the college registrar for the past 5 years. Yes, I am delighted to present this year's Faculty Achievement Award to Professor of Physics, my friend and great good colleague, Dr. Charles E. Scholes.
Each year, the graduating class selects one of its members to represent them on this important day by delivering the senior class speech. As is typical of a Knox education, the selection process is rigorous and challenging. Candidates prepare a presentation, which is recorded and then shared with the entire senior class. And, as is also typical of Knox, a democratic selection process ensues. The speaker receiving the largest number of votes is chosen. This year's speaker is Steffi Anthony from Mount Pleasant, Illinois. A trio student on the pre-health track, she majored in anthropology and sociology and minored in business and management. Steffi has been very active at Knox, having served as senior class president, a resident assistant, teaching assistant, and Red Room tutor. She's also a member of Tri Delta, where she served as vice president of chapter development and was the vice president and treasurer of INA, the South Asian Student Organization. As a student employee, Steffi worked on campus as a computer lab assistant, admissions tele-ambassador, and in the Office of Advancement. Steffi plans to pursue a Master of Science in Nursing at the University of Illinois College of Nursing. It's my pleasure to introduce this year's senior class speaker, Steffi Anthony.
Thank you for that introduction, Anne. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. And in these 2 sentences, the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama, encapsulates my Knox experience. Change began the moment we received the letter saying that we had been accepted into Knox College. Fast forward 4 years. Having survived 12 terms of Knox plagues, the polar vortex, the new My Knox page, countless fire alarms, endless nights of crying into our books, and trying to explain the trimester system to the outside world. Here we are, in our caps and gowns. We made it. Within these years, each of our unique Knox experiences revealed to us that we must always strive for that change. For some of us, this change meant packing up our bags and moving a few hours away from home, and for others, it meant moving across the country. And to all my brave international peers sitting here, this change meant moving halfway across the world from the place that you call home. From 14 different countries, we came here together in our very own Galesburg, Illinois. For many of us first-generation students, this change created a heightened sense of independence because we had no one back home to help us maneuver through this new chapter of life. Change began when Knox brought us every corner of this world. Then began those extensive suite meetings, running through tunnels of screaming people at Playfair, endless icebreakers with our orientation groups, and the weird tradition of shaking every single person's hand at pump handle. After orientation week, we dispersed throughout campus. We worked infinite campus jobs to be somewhat financially independent. We took on leadership positions. We made the Seymour Library our home and the Gizmo our second home. Or was it the Gizmo our home and the library our second home? Either way, we found home. For some of us, this change arrived through the discipline and hard work that we achieved through those 5 a.m. lifts for our sports teams. And for others, it was through spending every waking minute at the library trying to work through organic chemistry problems. This discipline arrived in the form of numerous hours spent at dance squad, or TERP. And for some of us, this discipline meant writing hundreds of pages for our creative writing portfolio. We accepted and absorbed this consistent change. And for all of us smack rats accepted that our weirdly shaped building made us more directionally aware and that no other building would ever faze us ever again. To all of us who took classes in GDH and Old Main, we know that every single day was leg day. We changed when we raised our hands and made sure we were heard, even though we knew that someone else was ready with a rebuttal. However, it was also when we realized that listening is just as crucial. Change happened when we packed our bags and went off to the Women's March in DC to stand up for what we believe in. Or the time we stood up here for the Diversity Initiative our freshman year and listened to the struggles of those with disadvantaged social identities. Some of us found this change, growth, and acceptances in the various organizations that we joined. Personally, I found this growth, change, and acceptance within my sisters of Delta Delta Delta. Maybe it was during our study abroad experiences or while we were cooking with our cultural organizations for iFair, or maybe it was during our times playing video games in Post Lobby. We all found our personal adventures during our time here at Knox. Sometimes our adventures came from the strange friendship that we share with the squirrels on this campus. Maybe the biggest adventure of all was Flunk Day, which is not a real thing, but it's always tomorrow. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of those who have helped us experience this change. It wouldn't be right if I didn't give my Amma and Appa a shout out for consistently loving and supporting me every step of the way, and for also transferring money into my bank account every 2 seconds. Here's a shout out to all the moms, dads, brothers, sisters, friends, aunts, uncles, cousins, professors, mentors, and every single person that comes into your mind when you think about your Knox journey. We wouldn't be here without their love and support. Despite our unique experiences at Knox, we found discipline, the value of hard work, and growth in this change that Knox brought to all of us. And today, as we scatter into the real world, I hope we continue to find that growth and change. Change that doesn't stop until every voice is heard. Change that doesn't end in speech, but in action. Change begins with acceptance, and that is what Knox taught us. Knox taught us that this acceptance begins when the disadvantaged are heard, when the oppressed are lifted, and when we just stop to understand the struggles of those who are least like us. Change doesn't arrive on its own. Change is what we bring. Congratulations, class of 2017. Change does not stop here.
Now comes the moment. Dean Bailing will now present the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts.
President Amott.
Louder, I think. Is it working? Yeah. Yeah, it's working.
President Amott, I have the honor to present to you the members of the class of 2017 who have completed the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts and who have been recommended to you by the faculty. Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts please rise and remain standing?
Graduates of the college, you have successfully completed the course of study prescribed by the faculty and by the authority of the General Assembly of the State of Illinois, vested in the Board of Trustees in Knox College, and by them delegated to me. I hereby confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Arts with all the privileges, honors, and dignities which here and elsewhere pertain to that degree. Graduates.
As the graduates present themselves for their diplomas, I will cite those who are graduating with honors, and we do ask that the audience refrain from applause until all of the graduates have received their diplomas. Torrance Bryson Abel III. Amani Razay Abu Hashim, cum laude. Mami Abi Aka. Mama Enima Aka. Miranda K. Adams. Yanessa Aganyaga. Jefferson Jonathan Aguirre. Amin Amar Aushish. Maria Athanasia Anastos. Steffi Teresa Anthony. Adedoja Adeola Ahafola Junonla. Yuta Aushima. Selena Marie Avilis. Maya Mient Mo A, cum laude. Tori Alicia Baker. Ren Elizabeth Christ Barkey, cum laude. Marilyn Angelina Barnes, cum laude. Kenneth John Edward Bartelt, summa cum laude. Abigail Aseneth Barton. Laura Jane Baston. Bashar Khaled Batrawi. Derek Jeffrey Beaupre. Carlene Marie Becken. Charles Lee Beckham III. Madison Elizabeth Belka, cum laude. Alexander Mackenzie Bell. Alejandro Beltran, honors in chemistry. Rebecca Catherine Benner. Clarice Amy Burnett. Holly Ann Bieber, magna cum laude. Lauren Lee Bird. Teresa Ann Berzer, cum laude. Mary Catherine Blair. Elizabeth Susan Bockreth. Rayanne Grace Barrero. Donna Frances Boguslavsky, magna cum laude. Talia Avery Bond Martin. Maximilian John Bonder. Anastasia Zoe Brewer. Quinn Caitlin Broda, summa cum laude. Martha Mackenzie Rose Brown. Madeline Jordan Bruce. Allison May Sebastian Boiser. Marcia Arnez Butler. Catherine Elizabeth Calderon. Erin Michelle Carter, magna cum laude. Kirsten Elizabeth Carlson. Abanicio Santiago Casillas, cum laude. Shannon Joe Caveney. Nancy Salaya. Fabiola Cervantes. Adrian Chavez. Marlene Chavez. Rachel Cheng. Mariah Helene Chermak. Annalyn Chia. Joseph David Cherbis. Tiffany Alyssa Christensen. Jessica Marie Curzon. Elizabeth Ann Clay. Cheryl Agoa Cobbold. Liliana Charney Coelho, cum laude. Evelyn Irene Coffin, magna cum laude. Brian Joseph Coleman, magna cum laude. Claire Brandt Colt. Stephanie Cordero Gonzalez. Emily Rose Corwin Renner, magna cum laude, honors in psychology and neuroscience. Z2. Nabila M. Dadar. John Stephen Damitz II, summa cum laude. Margaret Kathleen Dara, cum laude. Kaylee Elizabeth Davidson. Roberto Angel Davila. Brenna Colette Davis, cum laude. Marcellus Davis. Brandon Charles Dempsey. Selena Dawn Dietzel, cum laude. Noah Anthony Dina. Jinglung Ding, cum laude. Pei Wen Ding, cum laude. Kyle James Dins. Kelsey Lynn Dorflinger. John Patrick Donahue. Daniel Finn Donnelly. Kinsey Joanne Douglas, cum laude. Emma Elizabeth Downing, cum laude. Kunga Palbar Drongchoa. Jacob and Tony Dulac. Caroline Anna Disick. Eliana Arabella Eastman. Liala Alicia Eastman. Uduakobong Inabiasi Ekanem, cum laude, honors in biochemistry. Kenneth Mackenzie Evans. Jinglin Feng. Adam Corey Firkin, summa cum laude. Trevor Michael Follis. Patrick Ford. Caroline Mallory Folk, magna cum laude. Ryan Lee Foxall. Danielle Betty Frazier. Danielle Andre Freeman. Erin Susanna Fry, summa cum laude. Jessica Catherine Fritz. William Ross Fuller. Anastasia Yasmin Gamble. Sarah Brianna April Gaynor. Sam Geiger. Najla Ghan, cum laude. Danielle Aria Gilmore. Elissa Nicole Glenn. Spady Gonzalez. Devyani Gore. Shakisha Lashandra Grays. Thomas Michael Grizzle, summa cum laude. Jose Angel Guevara. Kyle Anthony Hall. Miranda June Unger Hallmark. Kyle Austin Hammock. Donald Bernard Harris, Jr. Nicole Jolie Heckman, magna cum laude. Benjamin Stephen Heichman. Kyle Jeffrey Heller. Athy Lydia Hernandez. Helen King Hershey. Courtney Charles Hill. Sage Lynn Hillier. Sage Lynn Hillier. Alexander Jason Hirano. Lauren Elizabeth Hogan, cum laude. Courtney Christine Hops. Mary Grace Houlihan. Chelsea Christine Howard. Jordan D. Hurst. Melissa Deborah Jaffe, magna cum laude. Emily Samantha Johnson. Alec William Jordan. Joy Davis Kanukaden. Almira Karaich. Courtney Jensen Kayiza. Olivia Simone Kniep. David Kalamendik. Emma Palmer Kirk, magna cum laude. Matthew Stephen Kester. Monica Natalia Kopech. Mia Tyne Kosmicki, summa cum laude, honors in psychology. Brittany Carla Kozlowski. Hansini Krishna. DeMarcus Romello Lacey. Rachel Marie Landman, summa cum laude. Jessica Elise Langsted, magna cum laude. Terrence Lau. Hoi Nam Lee. Young Lee. Laura Christine Lee. Yeun Lee. Andre Davis Leewright. Edward James Lehar. Robin Victoria Lehner. James Boragina Lenahan. Tenzin Cindy Lamo. Michiko Majizi Lee. Tevin Liao. Lady Laura Lida. Emma Dominique Lister. Sebastian Alejandro Llavaneres. Misael Lopez. Sarah Elizabeth Lotman. Dakota Sylvan Luna Stipp, summa cum laude, honors in computer science, music, and performance technology, and the Inman Fox Awardee, given to the senior student whose scholarly achievement and pursuit of a truly liberal education are exceptional among peers. Michelle Lynn Luna. Jacob Mitchell Lee. Mackenzie F. Lynch, summa cum laude. Morgan Jean Mataram. Nashra Mahmood, honors in gender and women's studies. Emily Elizabeth Malik, summa cum laude, and co-winner of the John C. Weigel Prize, which recognizes the highest scholastic achievement. Morgan Lee Malesker. Elizabeth Hannah Malone, magna cum laude. David Wesley Mann. Alma Teresa Marin. Andrew Michael Marr, magna cum laude. Trevor James Marshall. Michael Ray Martin. Victoria Beth Martin, cum laude. Karina Martinez. Zulema Alejandra Martinez Rodriguez. Kristen Alice Marvin, cum laude. Daniel Philip Maitling. Bonnie Mae Matheson. Yaska Lithuania Mayorga, cum laude. Hannah Elizabeth McCulloch. Sarah Mae McCurley. Elise Marie McGloin, cum laude. Kaylee Ann McGuire. Leah Michelle McWhirter, magna cum laude. Eric David Melling. Clarka Mendersova. Christina Marie Menges. Ricky Finley Metcalf. Monica Bernaba Miguel, cum laude. Daniel Paul Miller. Gregory Scott Miller. Marisa Suzanne Miller. Isla Meir. Matthew Robert Moe. Rosemary Ojuhu Momo. Jasmine Morales. Caitlin Jane Morgan. Naomi Morishita. Sarah Elizabeth Mortensen. Teresa Marie Murphy. William Henry Nash. Frederick J. Narot. Shashank Nilagiri. Abigail Grace Newhouser, magna cum laude. Connor Jeffrey Nemick. Stephanie Nicole Nikotenko. Sarah Emily Knoll. Samantha Norstedt Gonzalez. Ogoamaka Chukwuchebayani Nwana. Teresa Lee O'Keefe. Jesse Chikaze Okwu. Dennis Charles Ortman, Jr. Kaylee Marie Paget, cum laude. Christian Alejandro Padilla. Cassandra Rodriguez Ponganiban, cum laude. Vlad Gabriel Papancha, magna cum laude. Madeline K. Pape. Sarah Catherine Palicki, summa cum laude, honors in history, and co-winner of the John C. Weigel Award, which recognizes the highest scholastic achievement. Selena May Pettit. Shaylin Marie Pierce, magna cum laude. Madison Lillian Piero. Isai Guadalupe Ponce. Bruno Joseph Pavagel. Shantoria Deshawn Pratt. Mitch Ryan Prentice. Allison Florence Pritzel. Patrick Prom. Jeremy Tyler Rainey Brown, magna cum laude. Talia A. Reynoso. Andrew Jacob Richter. Haley Elizabeth Richter. David Rincon Cruz. Jennifer Caitlin Ripka, magna cum laude. Ashanti Capri Roby. Aiden Rodriguez. Anthony Donovan Rugby Hinderleiter. Janelle Trinette Romero. Emily Tubbs Rosen, summa cum laude, honors in biology. Callie Jane Rouse, magna cum laude, honors in international relations. Ashley Nicole Schmidt. Jeremy Peter Schmidt, magna cum laude, honors in psychology. Mac Schultz. Sauna Augusta Sepulveda. Crystal Arlene Singletary, cum laude. Benjamin Matthew Smolinski. Cassidy Faye Snyder. Michael David Alexander Sokol. Radiandra Putri Sumardi, cum laude, honors in chemistry. Kalyani Rajendra Sonarikar, cum laude. Nadia Neal Spock, cum laude. Dylan Stephen Stahl, magna cum laude, honors in neuroscience. Margaret May Stanger, magna cum laude. Alexis Jean Steffen, cum laude. Erin Grace Steinbach, cum laude. Casey Diana Stewart. Johanna Claire Stokes, cum laude. Michelle Marie Stamberski, magna cum laude. Porig Fione Chingwei Sullivan. McLeod Jones Sumner. Robert James Sunken. Matthew Thomas Supernaut. Maeve O'Grady Sutton. Drake Austin Sykes. Jacqueline Diane Simons. Julian Sai Tan, cum laude. Lingshang Tang. Olivia Kehulani Thiel. Emma Maxine Thornton Colby, summa cum laude. Ria Tawari. Stefan Carlo Tarabla, magna cum laude. Clara Getsemani Torres. Sean Russell Tracy. Emily Rose Trevor. Jakia Triplett. Jalen Leon Tucker. Haja Kamari Turpin. Joshua William Taverdi, summa cum laude. Mirella Valdivia. Kylie Ann Vega. Chloe Isabella Vollenweider. Carl Edward Voss. Max Byron Wallace. Anya Wong, summa cum laude. Jean Wong. Xiaofeng Wong, cum laude. DeAndre Marshall Weathersby. Alex Nolan Weidenhammer. Coral Grace Weinstock. Ryan Patrick Wietendorf, cum laude. Cameron Chauncey Wells, cum laude. David Alexander White, cum laude. Allison Lauren Whitehill, summa cum laude. Katerina Teresa Wittenberg, magna cum laude. Monica Jehi Wickman. Micah Oren Wilger, magna cum laude. Emma Ann Willie, cum laude. Summer Shu-Young Shu, cum laude. Jonathan Michael Yo, magna cum laude. Tristan Jungmin Yi, cum laude. Sojung Yu. Ailong Yu. Elizabeth Ann Zarnati. Danielle Marie Zepeda. And Alex Lawson Zhu, magna cum laude.
Class of 2017, congratulations to you, your families, your friends. It has been an intense 4 years. You have encountered disappointment, anger, maybe even despair. You have worked to exhaustion in the classroom, on the playing fields and courts, in the library, in the lab. But you have also succeeded beyond your wildest dreams. And I know, because I know so many of you, that you have fallen in love with people, with places, with ideas, and with causes. You have spoken out with passion in defense of core values, of justice, of dignity, of equity, and sustainability. And as your senior class speaker has noted, you have changed each other. You have changed the college. Know that. You have changed the college. And so you will now go out to change the world. As the great Galesburg poet Carl Sandburg observed nearly 80 years ago, almost exactly where I'm standing, we have hope and faith in you. Speaking outside Old Main, Sandburg said, and I quote, "What young people want and dream across the next 100 years will shape history more than any other motivation to be named." I'm going to say it one more time. What young people want and dream across the next 100 years will shape history more than any other motivation to be named. We have hope and faith in you. You have developed the disciplined habits of an inquiring mind and a compassionate heart. As you commence the next phase of your journey, I know you will shape history. You will take up the many challenges that now present themselves of global citizenship, to heal a troubled planet, to push back the frontiers of scientific knowledge, to bring home the millions displaced or imprisoned or disadvantaged by climate change, by violence, by persecution, by group hatreds. When you arrived at Knox, I told you that you would learn the most from the people the least like you. And I know now that as you leave this place, you will carry that with you, that you will listen to the voices of others not like you, and you will protect their rights as vigorously as you do your own. So I ask you, class of 2017, to honor the sacrifice of your families, the dedication of our founders, our faculty, our staff. Follow the examples of this year's honorary degree recipients. Like Eva Longoria, embrace the hyphen. Use your power on behalf of others. Like Wes Jackson, repair the earth and save the planet. Like Ambassador Hartog Levin, open your heart to the rest of the world and serve others as a global citizen. Class of 2017, the care of this historic college now passes to your hands as you join our alumni. Come back and visit whenever you can. Your alma mater will be here to welcome you home, maybe 75 years later than today. Congratulations to you all.
My friends, old and young, from around the country and around the world, we are here today because of what connects us all, hope. This is a time for hope. Graduates, your newly minted diplomas were awarded this morning against a seemingly unprecedented background of virulent national and global divisiveness. Lately, It feels we're being encouraged to believe that that which pulls us apart is stronger than that which binds us together. That we've all but lost our chance for a truly global society. But here you stand, buoyed by the wisdom spoken today, enchanted by opportunity, sustained by hope. And history is on your side. We've done it time and time again. 159 years ago, Abraham Lincoln stood at a podium not far from this one and spoke an eternal truth in the face of similar disunion. A house divided cannot stand. We abolished slavery. We granted suffrage. We rejected segregation. We struck a new deal. We built a great society. It was never easy. The hardest part, really, was to convince ourselves of the possibilities and hang on. So in that way, hope is both a challenge and a gift. It doesn't mean denying a difficult reality. It means facing it and addressing it. Hope locates itself in the frightening truth that we don't know what will happen, and in the spaciousness of that uncertainty is room to act. When you recognize uncertainty, you recognize that you may be able to influence the outcome, you alone or in concert with a few hundred others. Hope is informed, astute, and open-minded. Hope looks forward, but draws its energies from the past, from knowing histories, including our victories, and their complexities and imperfections. It navigates a path forward between the false and limiting certainties of optimism and pessimism, and the complacency or passivity that accompanies both. Optimism assumes all will go well without our effort. Pessimism assumes it's all irredeemable. Both let us stay home and do nothing. Hope is instead a sense that the future is unpredictable, and that we don't actually know what will happen, but we know we may be able to write it ourselves. Hope is a gift you never have to surrender. And so today I ask that we spend less time dwelling on what makes us different and more on what makes us so much the same, what binds us together in our humanity, the thing that connects us all, hope, and the exhilarating knowledge that every now and then possibilities explode. This is one of those times. How could it not be? I ask, too, that the needs of our world inspire us, that injustice troubles us, that we be impatient with despair, that friendship comforts us, and that hope sustains us. Congratulations, class of 2017.
Thank you.